Check, check, quick sound check. Can everybody hear me loud and clear? What's going on, chat? Hopefully, everybody's having a good trading day today. Get an audio and visual confirmation. Hopefully, you guys can see me well, hear me well as well. All good. Man Cave Trades. Thank you for the confirmation. Welcome to At the Buzzer, everybody. Our market recap. Coach Paul is out today. He's traveling back to Chicago from the cold Cleveland, back to colder Chicago. He's out today. He should be back with us tomorrow. But welcome to At the Buzzer, our market recap. If this is your first time here, the goal of this segment is to review what happened in the markets for the day. We may talk about some markets that you have not traded before, but we believe our goal as traders is to identify opportunity. We want to see how we can take advantage of those opportunities while managing our risk. This is our first time meeting. I'm Coach Jay, been a Topstep performance coach since June of 2023. Been trading for the past 14 years now, in the futures markets for the past 7 years. You're all the chat. Let us know how you did today. Were you up on the day, down on the day? Anything that you learned from the day? Today was a wild Wednesday in the markets for sure. We'll talk all about it. Dad Trading says, blew my account. What can you learn from it? I've blown a bunch of accounts in the past. And, you know, the one thing I learned every time something like that happens is the importance of risk management. For today, for example, you can see, I think this is the first time I probably ever shared the balance of this XFA, but it's a decent balance. I lost a nice chunk of it today. Coach Paul has that 12% rule. I lost it. Today was a 12% down day for me. I'm not happy about it. I probably could have traded a lot better than what I did, but risk management over everything. I wasn't going to lose more than 12% of the account in a day. And with some rounding errors, maybe it was a little more with some slippage and things like that, but was a losing day. But the one thing you do learn over time is risk management. That's my lesson for today. Had some trades last night in gold. Got, I would take those trades again. Got stopped out getting long gold, which is to me not the wrong trade. Then this morning had a little bit of a tech issue. Had to go buy a new mouse because the one I was using, somehow I ended up short 9 NASDAQ contracts. Not intentionally. I was looking to buy 3 actually. Had some malfunctions there. Put me in a little bit of a hole, and then the day kind of spiraled. The one thing I will say is that Coach Paul talks about it all the time. One thing we can't control is, some outside factors in the market, right? Maybe you were short when the president said, hey, you know what, no more tariffs in the EU. You can't really control that, but the one thing you can control is your loss limit for the day. So take that lesson out of it for sure. All right. Talk about the markets. Today, we didn't have much as far as planned news goes. We did have some earnings before, but I guess the World Economic Forum right now in Davos is planned. We had the president on a mic pretty much all day today. I don't know how he does it. A lot of lemon tea and honey or something, because he's talking a lot. A ton of comments coming out of the president today. Formulating a potential framework for a deal for Greenland and the U.S. And with that, the spike that we saw in the middle of the day was him saying that, okay, the tariffs that were supposed to go into place February 1st are no longer going to be implemented. The markets seem to really like that. The equity markets seem to really like that. We saw the metals sell off pretty heavy, but it's what we were talking about yesterday. We embrace volatility as traders. We want to take advantage of these opportunities. I was able to take advantage of a short later in the day in a personal account, getting short from a level that we've talked about a lot. So having levels that we think the market has the potential to respond to and taking our opportunities from there, that is our job here. Let's take a look at the quote board. 36 different markets we can trade with Topstep accounts. And today to the downside, we had corn down 0.47%. The Swiss franc down 0.66%, and silver, our biggest percentage mover to the downside, down 2.2%. To the upside, we had the Nikkei up 2.29%, soybean oil up 2.83%, and natural gas, our biggest percentage mover to the upside, up 29.38%. Now, we saw a 23% day in natural gas actually just yesterday, but if we remember correctly, that took into account 2 days of price action because Monday was not a settlement day. This was a real 29% move today in natural gas. I don't know where you guys are in the world. I know we got traders all over the world. I know in the Northeast, we're getting ready for what seems to be a pretty big storm. It's freezing cold out here, and natural gas is trading on its highs of the year. uh, and just a really huge move there, 30%. I think if I heard correctly, third day to the upside in net gas percentage wise. I have to confirm that, but I think that's a record day percentage wise in natural gas. Imagine shorting natural gas. Imagine shorting it without a stop. Yeah, you probably don't have an account anymore. Um, but if you have a stop, I mean, that's why we have to trade with a stop, right? You could short this, be wrong, and be very happy that you were wrong if you took the stop out. Uh, but if not, that was a tough market to trade there. Talk about the big four. We had crude oil up 0.48%, the S&P up 1.3%, gold up 1.3%, and the NASDAQ up 1.57% on the day. If you were trading these markets today, you know there was a ton of back and forth. And let's start with the NASDAQ. On a higher time frame, nothing has changed. We were talking about this with Aaron Ellis today during Trade with Topstep. What has the NASDAQ done? It really has not changed structure. We're still very range bound. And everybody knows at this point the October 10th candle, the high, the low, 50%. I mean, when I look at this today, I say probably shouldn't have a losing day today, but it is what it is. 600-point move, 628-point move high to low. We traded in the overnight session down to around 50% of this October 10th candle. By the end of the day, we were trading up at the highs. And thanks to the tariff news, the puppy's doing good. Puppy's doing good. He had he's still a puppy, right? So he's in his crate right now because he was, I've been trying to leave him out a little bit. And I was taking care of some work up here. Walked downstairs just to check on him, and he was chewing on my molding. So that's how it's going. Now I gotta fix the molding, but he's doing good overall. He's being a puppy. But what breed of puppy? He's the English bulldog. But really nice move there. Buy the dip, fill the gap. Very unexpected move today. Yeah, I mean, it looked very bearish until it didn't, right? This 50% level. And, you know, what else is down here, right? It's not just the 50% level of this October 10th candle, but it's 25,000 as well. Major psych level. I thought it looked pretty bearish this morning, but the one thing we said during the opening call, especially with the World Economic Forum going on, a headline is going to move these markets, and that's exactly what we got today. Let's take a look at the 30-minute chart here on the NASDAQ. We take a look at last night's open. Pretty quiet, pretty muted overnight session. Really not much as far as direction goes, which is kind of to be expected. We have a little bit of sell-off into the London session. But then we had the president for an hour speaking at Davos this morning. And the market kind of just rallied the entire time. So a bunch of traders talking about, you know, the white line up here. Really nice two-sided trade. And we've been talking about this all week, really, about the opportunities on both sides of this market. The NASDAQ is extremely range-bound. We're seeing the volatility increase. Daily ATR is still ticking up. It's at 371 points now. So the volatility is increasing, but the NASDAQ's not going anywhere directionally. But with that said, you know, this is a 400-point move to the upside and then another 300-point sell-off. So there is not a lack of opportunity in these markets. These are markets that I love. Right? You could trade on both sides. You could trade on one side and have, you know, what is normally looked at as a trending day. We had two 400, almost 500-point moves to the upside and a 300-point move to the downside in the NASDAQ today. There's opportunity. You just have to have, you know, the ammo to be able to take advantage of it because these markets are presenting opportunity. This is what we want as traders. Let's take a look at the shorter time frame chart here. Can't leave pups on their own. They're babies. Think of them as toddlers. Yeah, I'm learning that lesson. I thought he was good. I'm like, but I keep forgetting he's 4 months, right? Whereas just like he's a big puppy. He's 25 pounds now, so he's a lot bigger than when I got him. He's like double the size, but he's still a puppy. You're right. I got to keep him in his crate. Keep him in his crate for sure. Looking at the New York session open, It took a little while to get going, but I think once the president started speaking, we saw that rally. Again, not a whole lot to say here. And then I think I'm going to now frame out this candle, this range, as an important range. Why is this important? You can see it was the highest volume candle on the day on a 3 minute. This is now our new potentially anchor, at least on a shorter time frame, new anchor for tariff news, right? This price action here is the reaction to the president saying we are going to, we're not going to impose tariffs in the EU starting February 1st, right? So this candle to me is important until it's not important, right? We'll see the market respond to it. Of course, it's in the middle of the range that we've already been talking about, but you can see that we kind of come back, pull back, and hold this high. 25,457 is that high. So watching the market's response to that candle going forward, I think is going to be pretty important. That's really it on the equities. 18 months, D. D is saying I can't let the puppy free. Please, 18 months. Man, that's a long time. But I'd rather that than him chew up my walls. So you're right. I got to figure out fixing that molding now. Let's take a look here at a couple of different equity markets. We'll take a look at the S&P. Really interesting in the S&P today. Before the market opened, we saw 68.16. Sometimes, and there was a ton of size trading in the S&P today. But you know, one of the things we say all the time is it's not just watching those big orders; it's watching the market's reaction to them when they fill. We were watching the opening call this morning, 68.16. There was an 800 lot that filled on the bid, which means that's a passive buyer. Just going to mark out that price here. You can see the market's response to it. So we don't know what the intentions are, but when you see an order fill like that, and then every time the market retests it, that means that there's a strong buying presence in the market here. Really set the low for the day. Beautiful rally, another two-sided trade. Shout out to Jack, who made money to the short side in the equities today, 69.08. If you're wondering how Jack got that level, you hear Jack talk a lot, and Anne-Marie had a very similar level. You hear Jack talk about options activity. There's a bunch of different platforms that you can use to gain that information. But when Jack talks about a level, when D talks about a level, Anne-Marie talks about a level, they're looking at options data. And for me, I pay attention when they call out those levels. 69.08 had the potential to be the high of the day until, of course, tariffs. And tariffs kind of trump everything, no pun intended. And saw a really nice push there. So again, I'm going to mark out this range. The high of that 3-minute candle, happens to be right at that 69.08 level. Where we rejected was right around 6,900 SPX level, which is the underlying asset of the futures markets that we're trading. But a really nice trade on both sides, again, in the S&P. Maui, man, we could probably word that question a different way. Only us at the buzzers are going to know that. Maui Man says, would it be proper for me to ask if anyone did any white lines today? We're talking about legal white lines. And yeah, did anybody trade off of this 200 moving average on the 30-minute in the NASDAQ? Really nice trade there if you caught that. Or maybe an area to take profits. I know that we talked about this during the opening call as a potential target area. If you were to that's kind of a scary trade to turn around and take this short after a 400-point rally. But we know how strongly the market reacts to the 200 moving average, especially when it's trending. That would have been a beautiful trade. I'm curious if anyone took that trade. Actually, let's take a look at the other equity markets. The S&P did rally up into it as well, closing below it, 69.21. And take a look at the Russell. The Russell more so use it as a support, making new all-time highs here in the Russell. We're back above this head and shoulders pattern. New all-time highs here in the Russell, 27.19.10. New all-time highs in the Russell here. And we'll take a quick look at the Dow, trading right around that 200 moving average as well. Nice rejection off of it. But again, these are two-sided markets here. I think getting married to a bias in either direction. I heard D during group coaching today, and she said, trading with a plan, having a hypothesis for multiple things for the market to do, and then seeing which one plays out is extremely important, right? If I came in today saying, hey, I think this is a short, tried to buy the market and ended up in a short I didn't want to be in. But, once the market shows me that it doesn't agree with my thesis, I could do one of two things. I can stop trading, or I could do a couple of things. I could either stop trading, I could get aligned with what the market says, or I could force the issue and try to short a market that is rallying against me, right? So having a hypothesis for what can happen, looking both ways before you cross the street, not being super married to one bias, because again, especially in the markets that we're in right now, a headline can change everything. And we saw that today with the tariffs. Here you go, Man Cave. This is the Dow for you. We are in the Dow still above the 20 and 50 moving averages on the daily. You can see that 50 moving average was somewhere near the low of the day, using it as a support over the past couple of tests we had down there. The Dow and the Russell look much stronger than the S&P and the NASDAQ, but that is nothing new. Seen that over the past couple of months, where the S&P is still under that 20 moving average above the 50, and the NASDAQ, I believe, is still below both of them. Correct. Yeah, the NASDAQ is still below both. So the NASDAQ is the weakest. We do have some major tech earnings coming out next week, as well as that Fed decision. Maybe that will be the catalyst to break us out of this market. Did market sentiment change today, or is it me? I wouldn't say so. I think the markets are still very uncertain about everything. The Supreme Court tariff decision is still pending. Next week, we are expecting that the Fed isn't going to cut rates. 95% probability that we're not going to cut rates. I don't think the market sentiment has changed because we're not seeing direction at all. At least in the NASDAQ. Yeah, it proved we're still range bound to me, right? On a shorter time frame, if you're looking at 5-minute candles, it looks like, oh wow, this is a huge move. Haven't gone anywhere in the NASDAQ. The Russell and the Dow look like it has the potential. Brandon has a question here. Can you apply this range to any high volume candle and just wait and see how price reacts to the levels and then trade accordingly? Brandon, that's my entire strategy. My entire strategy is identifying high volume. However you want to do it, you're going to see some traders use volume profile. For me, I was just taught to look at volume by time and only pay attention to high volume candles. So we could do a quick little run through, right? Let's just say, well, this is going to be the market open, right? Market open from here. And honestly, what I do all the time, and it doesn't matter what the time frame, you can do it on any time frame. Mark out the high volume, attach a view up, see how the market responds. Mark out a high volume, attach a view up, see how the market responds. Let's pick a random market. Let's go to Swiss franc move today. And of course, we're doing this in hindsight, but again, this is pretty much my trading strategy. And why am I doing this? Because high volume means that there's interest in a market. Mark out high volume. That's the highest volume candle we saw at that time. Attach view up to it. See how the market responds. Now I'm doing this on a 3-minute, right? Could I do this on a 4-hour? Go back to the NASDAQ. This is just quick view. Here's the highest volume 4-hour candle. I attach a view up to it. What is it saying so far? Right? This low is holding. Flat view up is telling me range bound market. Here's another one. High volume 4-hour candle. I attach a view up to it. What is that telling me? Although price tried to trade near this low, volume didn't. It's holding up pretty well. Flat view up tells me range bound market. We have the potential to trade back up to the upper extreme of this range. When we extend price outside of this range, if volume hasn't gone with it, then this tells me that there's a higher probability of a reversion to volume trade. Now, the higher time frame you go, the more risk you're going to have to take. But yeah, you could do exactly that. Is this bullish move up? Trump stated stocks are struggling. I didn't hear him say stocks are struggling. I heard him say yesterday's sell-off was peanuts and that the stock market was going to double. That's what I heard. So take that for whatever advice you want to take it as, whether it's financial advice or not. But that sounds pretty bullish to me from a sentiment perspective. All right, let's take a look. And Brandon, I think I kind of simplified that, but I mean, I think it can be that simple. That's honestly how I look at some longer term investments as well. Find the high volume candle, and if I think it's a bullish, it shows pretty bullish, maybe we get an aggressive sell-off, I'm probably buying in that candle. That's not financial advice, but sometimes it doesn't have to be more complicated than that. All right, let's take a look at the metals. We had gold making new all-time highs today. New all-time high in gold futures, 48.90.90. 48.90.90 new all-time high close as well. 48.35.50 trading right now. Flying solo today. Yeah, Coach Paul is out. Coach Paul is out today. Uh, how much is there to say on the gold daily chart? It's going up closer and closer to that 5,000 level. We saw a pretty aggressive sell-off today after the tariff news, but was that just an opportunity to get back in long here? I'm not ready to say that the gold rally is over. Are we getting extended a little bit? Maybe. We're almost $300 off of the 20 moving average, but this is a extremely strong market. We're seeing the daily ATR increase $89. Today's range high to low was I think $134 high to low range. So not surprised to see a pullback, and we talked about that during the opening call, right? Gold was extended past its daily ATR, and an $80 sell-off in gold is just a dip. It's just a dip here. Let's take a look at the 30-minute. Last night's open is right here. We got some urgency early. You're wondering what we mean by urgent. And man, look where that dip went to. That's insane. That is insane in gold. Right below settlement price. Settlement was 47.6580. Here's last night's open. We got some urgency early. And if you're wondering what we're talking about as far as urgency, if you're a new viewer, if you're a longtime viewer, you know exactly what we're saying. But VWAP and price left the first 30-minute range really early. We look at, and we've talked about this, do I look at the Shanghai session or do I look at the Globex session open? And it really depends. If after the first after the first hour of the Globex open, so right around 7 p.m. Eastern time, if I don't see any urgency, then I'm just going to wait the hour and wait for Shanghai to open. But last night, after the first hour, we got the urgency early. This, to me, is a nice indication that you could take the trade long. I think I was eating dinner at this time, so I waited for Shanghai open. You might have saw during slow markets, I bought gold last night. Ended up buying somewhere near the highs, and that kind of set off what was not a great trading day for me to start. Had the right idea, and this is where timing and location matter. I could have bought that same trade on the way back up and had a winning trade, right? But buying it a little early before the pullback, this is where, and that was an all-time high at that time. Sometimes buying all-time highs, sometimes it's going to work in your favor, sometimes it's not. I personally don't love to take those trades. I saw some volume that I thought had the potential for follow-through. It didn't, so it turned out to be a losing trade. JD is saying it's that easy. Nothing is that easy here. Strategy-wise, it's super easy. It's all the other stuff, right? Every quarterback in the NFL knows how to throw a football, but can they make a pass under pressure? It's why some teams are about to compete for a Super Bowl and some teams are wondering whether or not they should draft another quarterback. But yeah, some urgency here in gold. Take a look at the Shanghai session open. Gold was just aggressive. And one of the things we talked about was how do we reduce risk when we know there's going to be a ton of volatility? Maybe looking at a 3-minute for the Shanghai session open or a 1-minute or whatever you want to do as far as an opening range. We're just looking at this like an opening range trade. If this was the opening range trade that we take every morning, you could look at a Shanghai session opening range trade. In 6 minutes, we had price and volume leaving that Shanghai session range, and that set the low until tariff time. So really nice trade there, really nice opportunity. This is where, you hear Coach Paul say it all the time, get your trades on as close as possible to volume. This is what this means, right? My trade in gold last night was, where did I end up buying? I think I bought it up here. I bought gold up here. And look at where we pulled back to. right? So one of the things I have to try to remind myself as well is, okay, this is a trending market. But in this case, if I'm buying up here, 48, 46, on a 3-minute chart, I am 3 ATRs away from volume. You bought the top like me. Yeah, I mean, oh, it's your name. It's literally your name. Buy the top. Yeah. You only want to buy the top if you know it's going to keep going up, and if you have the risk parameters to facilitate any pullbacks. Right. I was trading the big gold contract. Right. So I'm going to manage my risk. But is there a better trade location for this trade? Again, in this case, I'm 3 ATRs away from volume. If I'm going with the assumption that volume moves the market, I want to try to get my trades on as close as possible to volume. Do I have to trade exactly off of VWAP? Probably not. But if you saw that Russell trade that I took the other day during fast markets, it's the reason I took that trade. I'll switch back to the Russell from yesterday. We had a push. I was saying I wanted to buy it near 55s. I could have bought it up here, but hopefully this pullback is accounted for in my risk parameters, right? If I wait for the pullback and this looks like a trending market, I don't want to be the one to buy the high. Allow the pullback to happen. This is, patience and discipline saying, hey, I've identified a trend. If it's a good trade, then it should continue going even after a pullback. And very similar thing here in gold last night. You waited for that pullback. You had even if you didn't catch the early part of this move, waiting for this pullback into VWAP is a pretty good trade here. So one of the things I try to remind myself of as well is my trade happening close to volume. Because if there's follow through, then I'll make money with that. And a really nice trade there in gold. Didn't tag 4,900, got pretty close. And then, of course, tariffs are going to affect pretty much every market that we trade here. This is a $50 sell off in 3 minutes in gold. And it's already recovered. So super resilient market. Of course, I'm going to frame out this range and see how the market responds around it. But extremely resilient. Just a little hiccup here. We needed a $90 sell off so we could find some more buyers. And I'm definitely going to be watching the metals and probably just the metals tonight. Brandon has a question. So are we looking at those ranges above or below the 50% to identify if price is accepting to go higher or lower? Yeah. So Brandon, that's exactly it, right? If let's go back to the NASDAQ on the daily. This October 10th candle, right? Why am I framing this one out? This is one of the highest volume daily candles we've had in 4 months. This one is higher, but it's an inside candle, so I'm not really considering that one. I don't remember what happened on this day. I know that there was tariff news on the 10th. So the way I'm looking at this is when we're trading above it, right? When we're trading above it, as long as we hold this high, I want to be long above here. When we start to see price acceptance inside this candle closes in here, then I'm looking for the potential for the market to rotate back down to 50%. If it holds 50%, then I'm looking for potential for rotation back up to the high. If we closed a candle below 50%, then I'm looking for follow through to trade to the other extreme of that candle. All right. Hopefully that makes sense. At G Invest, I have no idea how I survived the NASDAQ today. Yeah, it was a wild one. It was a wild one. End of the day, down 400 in red after all these opportunities. It's not too bad. I'm going to be honest. I don't know where $400 sits as far as your average, lost days go, but all things considered, I think that's not too bad of a day. Let's take a look at silver. Completely different market than the gold market last night, which is kind of to be expected, in my opinion. We're right below that $100 level. These are all-time highs up here. You're going to have to really convince some buyers to trade up here. We looked at that gold-silver ratio yesterday, and it is making lows that it hasn't seen in a little while. But silver kind of indecisive over the past couple of days, but still not closing below a prior day's low. Still holding up pretty well to me. Just taking a little bit of a break maybe here in silver. Kind of glued to that 200 moving average on the 30-minute right now, but holding up. And again, I think the metals are going to be pretty interesting to trade tonight during slow markets. So I know I will be there at 8 p.m. Eastern time, checking out how these markets trade. No custom indicators yet, Rich. You can use a Topstep API to, code some automated trading strategies, but no custom indicators yet. I know it is on the roadmap. Can't give you a deadline on that, but I know it's coming up. All right. That is what we have in silver. Copper was interesting. I know D was here. Copper. What is that white line in copper? 200 moving average. Nice rejection off of that as well. Haven't traded copper too much recently, but let's take a look at the crude oil market. How much is there to say about crude? It was interesting last week. London session still gets the best prices in crude. They pretty much set the low here. Tough market, in my opinion, to day trade. It is trying to trade higher, but if we look at a higher time frame, I think we're trading right around that 200 moving average on the daily. Decision-making zone here for crude. What we've seen over the past couple of months or so is there's going to be some rejection up here potentially. Of course, anything can change. We're hearing a lot of things going on geopolitically that have the potential to get crude moving, but right now, I'm personally not looking at it as a day trade opportunity. Coach Hoop says natural gas has all the attention and energies right now, 100%. And I saw a question in the chat, what got natural gas moving? More buyers than sellers. It's wintertime here. It's wintertime across the, I guess not across the board, but again, we are getting ready to see a very cold week here in the States. A ton of snow. I think I'm supposed to be getting 1.5 feet of snow. Coach Hoop says it's rolling tonight to March. Could it be weather? I'm not sure, but I know from a technical perspective, we traded and used the 200 moving average as a support. From a fundamental perspective, this is the season where we expect natural gas to move. And today was the highest volume candle we've seen in a very long time, going back years, actually. And one of the biggest ranges, I think, ever in crude oil. In natural gas today. So is that going to continue? Maybe. Maybe not. I know one of the things we've talked about is when natural gas starts to move. If we look at the Globex Open, which is 8 p.m. Eastern time, I'm probably not going to be trading natural gas at that time, but right around 12 midnight New York time, 11 p.m. Central time, that is when natural gas starts to move, right? So shout out to D in the chat. Time of day is a level. The time of day that I would start to look at natural gas is right around midnight New York time. And if we can see from that point, we use that as an opening range trade, that is a hell of a move. Was I awake at that time? I know I'm not looking at my charts at that time. I know that much, but really nice move there in natural gas. Shout out to all the traders. Coach Hoop, did you catch a piece of this move? Just curious if Hoop caught a piece of this. Last night it just took off, yeah. Van Johnson, when is the smaller silver contract? It is February 9th, I believe is the date. February 9th for that 100-ounce silver futures contract. Smaller contract. I'm not sure what they're going to call it. February 9th. I don't know that we're going to get it here at Topstep. It's going to take a little while for us to be able to trade it at Topstep, but if you're trading a live account, personal account, then February 9th is that date. Yeah, it might be the nano, right? Might be the nano. I think that's what they're going to call it. What they should call it. That's what we've been calling it. But natural gas trading above $5 right now, and that's a hell of a move. I wouldn't be surprised just to see moves this big. I wouldn't be surprised to see a little bit of a retracement of this, but if you've never traded natural gas before and you're looking at this and you're saying, oh, this has gone up too much, it can't keep going, it can. So if you're a natural contrarian, be very careful with this market. It could move another 23% tomorrow. And I wouldn't be surprised. So just be careful here in this market. There's a ton of volatility, there's a ton of opportunity, but have a trade set up. Make sure you know where your stops are, because this thing can really move. All right. That is most of our markets there, and no Coach Paul today. So we ran through them pretty quick. If you guys do have any questions, Any markets you want to take a look at, any alternative markets, micro Bitcoin is pretty interesting. They don't call it the Widowmaker for nothing. That's right, D. Great intraday trade though. Would I hold? So because of something like this in natural gas, I'm probably not swing trading this, unless you're able to buy somewhere near $3, which zoom out, that's a higher time frame support area. But in the middle here, hell no. There's no way I'm swinging this, right? Take your intraday trades and be able to sleep at night knowing that you might not have a 30% move going against you. But yeah, if I'm able to buy at $3, that could be a trade. If we get back down there, I may be long. Not financial advice. That's just Jay looking at a chart. Coach Hoop saying March Nat Gas trading at $3.49. 49, really? And that's what we're rolling over to tomorrow. Thanks for that, Coach Hoop. All right. Any other markets you guys want us to take a look at? And we ran through a ton of them. Micro Bitcoin was pretty interesting today. Got down into that J trade daily candle that we were talking about. Here we go for Brandon, right? Frame out the high volume candle. We're doing this on a daily. What is the market's response to that candle? Here's a high volume candle on the daily. You could still use this as a frame of reference. It's like we're still using that October 10th candle here in the equities. This one is November 21st, one of the highest volume candles we've seen in micro Bitcoin in a long time. Attach a VWAP to it. What happens at 50%? It holds as a support for now, right? And we've tested it a couple of times. This could be a decent area to buy off of. And then the high of that candle, what happens up here? Volume's trading above it. It's not very convincing. It's kind of a flat line. But we're holding this candle for now. So for me, as long as we hold here and for a day trade, we see momentum away from this candle, then my job is to get long. This is a potential area of demand, support, whatever you want to call it. But for me, it's anchored off of this high volume candle here, which we keep holding 50% of. Any long-term biases about the Russell? Feels strange to see risk on bets going up given world circumstances. I think we're seeing, risk on in certain sectors, right? We're not seeing risk on in tech, and maybe it's rotation out of tech into, whatever's going on in the Russell or the Dow. Longer term bias, I kind of just have to look at the chart, right? And also I'm keeping in mind that the Russell is not normally a huge percentage mover when you look at a yearly. So right now, this is the trend. Do I think this continues if the NASDAQ and the S&P start to catch a bid? No, I think we probably come down the other way. But from a technical perspective right now, it's a market that's making all-time highs, and I kind of just have to trade it that way. On a higher time frame, is it just continuing to go up? It is. But if you zoom out and look at the Russell, it was 4 years, 5 years before we made all-time highs. It's been a little while. So not a move that I want to fade, but also if the other equity markets start to catch a bid, are we going to see more rotation into stuff like the Russell and the Dow? It's kind of how I'm looking at it here. I saw somebody mention cattle in the chat. Let's take a look at cattle. Looks kind of indecisive over the last couple of days, maybe. Looking at this daily candle, we're sitting right at 50% of it. There was some decent volume in that candle. That's the highest volume daily candle we've had in cattle all year so far. So the market has decisions to make about these prices, right? Something happened here in cattle. I'm not sure what it is, but there was volume that traded there. So the market's trying to decipher what it's doing right now. So we could go to a shorter time frame. Look at this highest volume 3-minute candle. Let's go to a 5-minute. Trade 5-minute cattle. Go to this highest volume 5-minute candle. What is the market saying? Whatever the catalyst was to cause that volume, what is the market saying from that point? Volume is pretty flat. So although price traded lower, there wasn't any volume convinced about trading lower here. So this is an opportunity for a range trade. There isn't any volume up above since this time, right? We can see VWAP is still flat. Since this candle printed, there isn't convinced buying above here either, which gives us that reversion to the mean trade. Now, is this going to stay this way? Maybe, maybe not. Where do you set your risk on something like this, right? We have to ask all these questions, but The market is making decisions about this price range right now. And right now it's comfortable being here. Screwworm news. That's what that was? Hoop? That's not good. It's not good at all. But there you have it for most of the markets. I didn't see any requests for any other markets here. So if you guys don't have any questions, maybe we could wrap there. I'll be back trading slow markets with Coach Dakota tonight. Trading the metals. I think we can do it there. I think we did it. I think we did it. Hopefully everybody had a good trading day today. Followed your plan and you had a successful day. Understand that the success you had today came from the result of you executing a game plan. And if you didn't have a good day today, review what happened, right? I'm reviewing what happened today for my trading day. I know exactly what I need to fix, what I probably need to avoid to have days like this. And I've done that over time. Every once in a while, days like this are going to happen. But again, make sure you have a loss limit. I forgot who it was that said they lost their account today, but take some notes on what happened today. Because those potential catalysts don't go away. Tilt catalysts don't go away. You just get better at managing them. And if you don't do the job, do the hard work of saying, hey, you know what? I'm only going to lose X amount of dollars, regardless of what happens. It sucks. Again, do I want to be down $4,500 today? No. But I could be down $30,000 today if I don't make that tough decision of just saying, hey, you know what? Cut it off. So make those decisions in your trading, execute your game plan when the market is telling you that it's time to execute your game plan. And watch out for the volatility, right? That World Economic Forum is going to be all week. I think it goes into next week. So we are sure to see some volatility. You want to make sure you have an account available to trade that volatility. And that is it. Coach Hoop, shout out to Coach Hoop in the chat, is doing a class in Discord at 6 p.m. Eastern time. So in just over an hour here. And we have Coach Ray and Coach Vince at 7 and 8 p.m. Eastern time. Dakota with slow markets tonight at 8:30 Eastern time. Aaron with the London Open tomorrow, 2:30 Eastern. D with the Euro trade at 4:30 Eastern time. And then we'll be back for the opening call, 8:15 Eastern time tomorrow, right here on YouTube, TopstepTV. If you haven't done so already, hit that thumbs up button. Tell your friends and family to like and subscribe. We are on the way to 200,000 subscribers. We appreciate you all being here. See you all tomorrow. Trade well. Have a good night.